Hello, this is the BBC News with Fiona MacDonald. The US ambassador in Libya, Richard Norland, has backed UN calls for an immediate ceasefire in the capital Tripoli after a day of clashes between political factions left at least 13 people dead. Mr Norland said that Libya's rival parliaments based in the east and west of the country needed to agree on an early date for new elections before things got even worse. Anas El Ghamati, a spokesman from the Sadek Institute, a think tank in Tripoli, says the situation is very delicate.
It's incredibly serious. I mean, these opening hours are going to determine whether or not this is a small turf war or whether or not we're going to escalate into a civil war. And why is that important? Well, the opening hours are always judged by the response by the international community. And the international community should be making phone calls at the highest levels and trying to sanction the individuals responsible for this war, who are also responsible for the last war.
The United States Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, has disclosed that her office is to lead a review of potential security risks from classified materials recovered during a search of Donald Trump's home in Florida earlier this month. Ms. Haines said intelligence officials were working with the Justice Department. Mr. Trump denies any wrongdoing. Officials in Pakistan are renewing calls for international assistance as floods wreak havoc across large parts of the country. An Interior Ministry official told the BBC that several countries had already contributed to a monsoon disaster appeal, but many more funds were required. In northern Pakistan, tens of thousands of people have fled their homes after a river overflowed in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Pumza Fihlani reports from there.
Swathes of land across southern Pakistan have been turned into islands. The rains have been unforgiving and the water is still trapped between people's homes. Homes, roads and infrastructure have been destroyed and some villages completely isolated. This week, authorities issued fresh warnings for people to get to higher ground. For some, that meant beside a road.
The authorities in Kosovo and Serbia have welcomed a free movement deal for citizens trying to cross between their countries. Until now, Belgrade has refused to recognise identity cards issued by Pristina. But there's potential trouble ahead with the September deadline approaching for Kosovo's ethnic Serbs to hand in their Serbian-issued vehicle number plates. A European Union spokesman, Miroslav Lajčák, said that the deal between Kosovo's Prime Minister and Serbia's President showed that progress could be made.
I'm glad that today we found a European solution and President Vučić made a very responsible decision, which was not easy, to drop something that was in place for 10 years, but it was for the benefit of his country. And I really hope that we will be able to jointly find a European solution also on the issue of the license plates.
BBC News. The United Nations says more than 1 million tonnes of grain and other foodstuffs have been escorted through the Black Sea under a deal to resume shipments from Ukraine despite the war. The UN coordinator said dozens of voyages had been completed since the operation began at the start of this month, helping to drive down global food prices. The governor of the Mexican state of Sinaloa says the body of a missing radio announcer has been found in a canal in the town of Mazatlan on the Pacific coast. Candida Cristal Vasquez had been reported missing by her family in late July. The broadcaster's death adds to the growing number of journalists murdered in Mexico this year. Human rights organisation says 2022 is already the worst year on record for such killings. Dutch police say at least 3 people have been killed when a truck veered off the road and rolled into a neighbourhood barbecue in the village south of Rotterdam. Many others have been injured. Anna Jones reports.
The accident happened at around 6 o'clock this evening in the village of New Beijerland, around 20 miles from Rotterdam. Pictures from the scene show a lorry with Spanish number plates at the bottom of a small embankment with upturned chairs and tables nearby. Police say many people were at the barbecue and several of them died, although they're yet to confirm how many. A number of others were taken to hospital. The Dutch state broadcaster says the driver of the lorry, who wasn't hurt, is under arrest.
A car owned by Diana, Princess of Wales in the 1980s has sold at auction in London for more than $760,000. Diana was frequently photographed at the wheel of the black Ford Escort, visiting shops and restaurants. It was purchased by an English buyer after heated bidding from Dubai and the United States, as well as from Britain. Similar models normally fetch about $12,000. BBC News.